lot of different defensive positions. We're gonna get hit with the swing single in our career over and over again. When you think about the #1 takedown in the world, whether it be Little League all the way up to some of our best Olympians, the single leg is one of the top dominating moves over and over again, year after year. And for that reason, it's so important to focus on your defense to the single leg. When you break your team's offensive scores down, and where did your team score the most? I'm going to say probably 95% all of you out there are going to say we scored more in the single leg than any other move, maybe even higher percentage. I know for our case, it's a single leg. So for that reason, it's so important to have a repertoire of defensive skills that you have in different situations, because you're going to be in different situations. So we're going to have guys that hit swing singles or inside reach singles, and they're going to get to the corner and they beat us. Okay? Doesn't mean it's over. It just means there's a level of defense that you have to have. Sometimes it deals with some flexibility, but a lot of it is still skill and technique. So I'm going to have him beat me to the single leg. Okay? He's going to do an inside reach, a swing single, whatever it may be. Okay? You're going to go this way?
Yeah.
Okay? And he's going to beat me to the angle. And I'm going to find that he's dropped below my knee, and I can't get squared back up. Okay? There's a lot of things that people are doing right now, of falling over the top and doing some things like that, really some neat stuff that has evolved over the last 15 years. And it's good stuff, You're not exposing yourself to your back. You're not doing things that it wouldn't translate from folk style to freestyle. So there's a lot of skill out there that people are doing, scrambling skill, that is I highly recommend. I'm going to stick with some of the basic things that we need to know to defend first. Okay, so as he gets to the leg and he beat me here, and I find myself here below my knee here in this position. Okay, where do we want to be and what do we want to do? Okay, I know a lot of people go to the head here to keep the head down. Okay, and that's something that we're going to have to do, is to push the head down. Okay, but after I push the head down, okay, I want to change with my hand. Okay, and I want to shove it down as I reach back, and I'm reaching back to my ankle. As I post that head, I'm reaching back to my ankle. Okay, and I'm locking my wrist to my ankle. Now, let's make sure we get the camera shot on this. So he beat me here, we're down. Okay, I push the head down, okay, right here. Okay, and I'm replacing my hand. Okay, and now I'm coming back to my ankle, right here. All right, now, what are we going to do here? Okay, once I get to my ankle, okay, I'm locking to my ankle. I'm going to release my lock right now and just show you what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to try to avoid all my flexibility. So let's say we don't have a lot of flexibility in our knees, okay? So we're not going to turn our leg out. We're going to sit to our hip. So when I do it, I'm going to sit to my hip. I'm going to point my knee out and sit to my hip. I'm going to drive that lock into the mat. And so what happens when I do that, when he's around the leg here, okay, is I drive him into the mat and pin those arms to the mat. And as I pin those arms to the mat, I just keep sliding with my hip. Okay? So I'm not trying to use my flexibility here, because I'm focused on trying to use my power here as I'm turning that knee out and setting that hip. Okay? And now once I get here, I just keep sliding. Okay? And as I'm sliding there, the lock is so heavy here, I can drop off the head. Okay, I'm keeping the head down by keeping that arm pinned to the mat. And as I'm sliding down and away from him there, keep in mind here is that when he's on the leg right here, let's make a half turn. Keep going, keep going. There you go. As he makes a half turn, and I point that knee out. I'm pointing it perpendicular to him. Okay, I'm trying to drive my heel right here. drive it to the mat. Drive it to the mat. And as I'm doing that, that ankle that I grabbed, I'm falling off of it and grabbing his bicep. I keep a hold of it to get my knee pointed perpendicular to him, and then right at the very end, I'm grabbing the bicep and pulling it up. And as I pull it up, it's creating that space for my ankle to go on through. Okay? So again, I'm right here. He's got the ankle. Boom. What am I doing first? Post. Post. I don't want him to build up right here. Build up. I don't want him to build up. Get the head down. Come back. Grab the ankle. Make a half turn. Half turn. Got to keep the head down. Keep the head down. He's going to be trying to raise up. Keep the head down. Now pointing. Point. Okay. So here. So I turn the knee out. Suck it in. Suck it in. As I turn it out, I'm not going to be able to slide that foot until I release my ankle and I pop right. I try to grab that bicep, but sometimes I'll end up in the armpit. Okay, and I pull it up. Pull it up. Slide out and cover. Cover both armpits. Be ready to cover, okay, and score. So again, we've taken a defensive position. A guy in deep has got an angle on me, and I turned it into an opportunity to score. Okay? Let's cover it one more time. This is when the guy gets to the ankle. He's around. He hit an inside reach single. He hit a swing single here. Okay? What's the key here? First is what? Head down. Got to keep the head down. And second thing is, what am I doing? Back to pressure. This is not so much hip pressure, but it is. When I'm turning my hips out, I'm putting hip pressure into him, okay? Driving it into his shoulder, okay? Driving that lock into the mat, okay? It's going back to those same principles of keeping the head down and using hip pressure. And that's what we're doing on this situation. The only difference is it's not a butt drag situation. We're in a position where he has beat us to the point of where he can really score from, and I got to scramble with good skill. And that good skill is going to go back to the principles of good defense. Head down, hip pressure. Okay? Here, it's the angle. Here. I'm grabbing, turning the knee out, out. Keeping that head down. See, I'm always keeping that head down. I said a while ago you could maybe release it. I wouldn't release it. Keep your hand always on the head. Right here, you see how I release and I pull. Now sometimes it'll snag the top of my toe. Snag the top of my toe. Okay, and I can't get it out. Just drop your hips right on his arm. Okay, a lot of times we'll want to pop up when he's got my toe. Don't pop up. You feel him grab that toe, just drop your hips on his arm. Okay, and slide it out. Here. Grab a toe. Remember, I'm going to end up here. Okay, and if I got two overs, make a half turn. If I end up with two overs here, okay, I want to focus on a couple things. Not just spinning around him, but heavy on one side, butt drag the other side. Okay, come up with your head. Okay, two overs. Steering wheel. Sometimes people like to lock, okay, but we need to recognize that there's going to be times when we're going to get to a position in wrestling where guys are going to beat us there. They're just going to beat us. They're going to get to those certain positions. And it goes back to how good's your defense. You know, and this is a great defense when the guy gets the angle on us. So that's a great technique when our opponent gets to the single leg and gets to the angle. Okay, I'm going to show another one, and I want people to recognize that this is just when I'm getting beat. Like I can't keep the head down. Okay, he's starting to build up. Okay, I know where I want to go if I start to lose the head. Okay, I'm not going to let him just pick me up, pick my leg up, and finish the angle. Okay, a lot of times when guys hit that swing single, right? If they keep working around the backside and a guy's got a good limp leg, okay, that's really what they want you to do. Okay, it's the more that you try to work that corner, the easier it is for me to get my hips down, get my knee perpendicular to you, and slide on out. The guys that sometimes you really struggle with, okay, are the guys that start to raise that up and they want to finish it up high. They recognize I've got to the leg, I've got to the angle, I feel this guy, and I feel like I have to come up. So when they come up, we want to quickly reroute the head. Okay, so as he's in on that single leg, he hits, and he's got the angle. Half turn, half turn. Okay, when we get here, right here, I'm squaring up, and we start to feel him suck it below the knee, below the knee. We start to feel him sucking it up. Okay, he's starting to build his head. I'm going to plant that toe. Okay, listen, I'm beat. There's a certain point where I can keep his head down. If he gets his knees back under his head, I'm not keeping that head down with a hand. Okay, that's the key to the butt drag and to these situations where we're keeping that head down. We have got his head extended over his knees, and that's why we're keeping that head down. Those knees start to slide back underneath us. It's just almost impossible if we got somebody with some experience. So again, he's here on the angle, and I'm trying to keep the head down and maybe even grab it. And I feel myself starting to come up. Get the foot down. Drive that foot to the lock. I'm coming across immediately to the face. Face, if I catch your face, if I catch the chin. And I'm rerouting that head out. And as I reroute that head out, I'm coming right across with a cross face. And the leg goes back. Okay? This all happens fast. Okay? This is not something that you're going to work into it. This dude built up, he's thinking about finishing, bam, his head gets thrown out to the outside. Hard cross face right across the nose, trying to bloody that nose and bury him into the mat, extend the leg and score him. So he hits a single leg, go. Fighting, he starts to build, right here, straight. Okay, now, can't work if we don't get our foot to the mat. When he starts to build up here, okay, this leg gets heavy. Okay, my leg's stronger than his arms. Okay, and for me to get my foot down, it's going to take a little bit of grunt. Okay, but I'm driving it through. I got to know as he's coming up. Okay, I feel it. I drive it to the mat. Okay, because a lot of times when we start to build with the leg from a swing single, what do we got to do? If I'm putting pressure on him, he's going to have to plant a hand to raise up. Okay, so it puts his one arm controlling my leg. If I feel my body coming up, I'm always going to fight it back down, and then there comes a point where I'm going, I'm losing it, make your change. Okay, because once that head comes up and I take the pressure off of him and put that foot to the mat, okay, everything releases for him. Everything's coming up, boom, pass it. Okay, so I'm here. Okay, notice he's got that hand. Okay, he starts to build, Foot goes down. Happen to grab the chin this time, depending on where his head is. If his head's down and coming up, I'll grab the face. If his head comes up, I'll grab the chin. I'm just grabbing whatever I catch, okay? Reroute it to the outside. As I reroute it, shooting that arm straight through to a cross face, all the way to his tricep muscle. Okay, come back in. He's building up. Okay, I feel it. I pass it. Notice I'm bending my knees and putting weight into him right here. Okay, all the way across to that far tricep. Okay, sag the hips. Score the points. Okay? So, when do you find yourself here? Here's the problem with it. There's a lot of people that have some success with this, and they'll abandon their baseline defense of keeping that guy on the mat. In my preference, the better this guy is, okay, that I'm wrestling. And the guys that we want to beat to win things, to win state championships, to win your conference championships, to win your national championships, to win the Olympics. The guys that I want to beat, okay, I can never abandon my baseline defense. Because the more they get elevated up, the bigger challenge it is. They're good, okay? This move is going to materialize because I did not abandon my baseline defense from a position of when the guy got the swing single. I'm going to keep that pressure on, keep that pressure. I'm going to fight to get that hip down, maybe turn that knee out. I'm going to fight for it. And then if I'm not getting it, he starts to come up, I'm quickly rerouting the head. Okay? But that pressure is what's going to keep you in the game. Okay? If we immediately start to compromise and we start going to this often, you're going to get beat in it. I'm going to come up through you because you're never going to have pressure on me. That pressure is what creates this. The heavy leg, the heavy pressure down, the baseline defense, and then we go to it. But stay with it until you have to reroute the head. Make him do his work to get to the position for you to reroute the head. Don't give it to him. Okay? So, again, and we find that a lot. We do that a lot even in butt drags. Okay? We abandon that hip pressure because we get excited about scoring. Okay? Don't abandon it. When you're moving around him, you should never spin around him. I see these spin drills and I'm thinking, whoever spinned around on me? Whoever spinned around on you? Okay? If somebody scored from defense, maybe occasionally some quick guy, boom, faked one way, spun the other way. Maybe occasionally. But most of the time, if a guy scores defensive on me, the dude had great hip pressure and he walked around me and under control. You know, so same scenario. We're backing on that leg. Pressure. Trying to turn the knee out. Pressure. He starts to build up. I feel him coming up. I plant the toe. Okay? As he builds up into me, I reroute. I raise my head and chest up so I can reroute. Okay, hand comes right across. Far tricep. But. Now what am I going to do? Sag my hips. Go back to my defense. Legs back. Keep a hold of the leg. Back. Pressure. Okay? So let's do it live one time. I'm going to make you kind of work in there. I lost the leg. Okay? I stayed with my defense. Okay? As he started coming up, my leg popped out. I'd much rather be here. I'd much rather be here. Scorned. Okay? Never had to get to the position. Okay? That's not abandon something to go to something else. Okay? That's staying with that baseline. I want to keep his hands on the mat. I keep his hands on the mat, his head down here. He is not scorned. And when somebody shoots and they get deep in you, okay, your goal is, yes, it's to score, but damn sure I'm not going to let him score. He's going to feel my pressure and he's going to go, my gosh, those hips were heavy. Man, never felt that kind of pressure, right? And it's technique pressure. It's not muscle pressure. Back in. Go. It's that simple. Okay? Easy techniques. Make sure we drive the foot down. The foot's got to be on the mat for this to be successful. So as we go into this defense and further take it, we've really focused on these single legs, and I'm going to stay with the single leg and just keep in mind when we're working our defense as coaches or as athletes, we need to recognize that defense is not just head blocking, arm blocking, sprawls. Defense is when they get to the legs. Defense is when they get to the corner. Defense is when they get to the leg and bring it up. I mean, there's a lot of defense that people overlook and we don't practice. And we really need to be practicing positions of when guys have beaten us to the point, and we have to find defense when the leg comes up. We have to find defense when they get to the angle. So we've gone the angle. Now we're going to go defense as he builds up into me. And I can't get that foot down, and I cannot pass his head out, but it comes up. Where do I go from there? So here's what I'm talking about. The guy hits a single leg. He's in on a single leg right here. And he starts he starts to build up, okay? I can't get his head to the outside, but he comes up and he beats me quickly here. Go ahead and bring it up. Okay, right here. Okay. Now, I'll say this, that I still think this guy's got the advantage here, okay? But as that leg comes up, there's a whole level of skills that we got to think about when it comes to defense, okay? And I think the first thing that we want to focus on here, okay, is creating a situation where I put pressure on this lock, okay? Going down here and trying to find the fingers, we don't have time to do that. He'll run the pipe, he'll change off, he'll quickly attack across my body, okay? So what we want to do is as that leg comes up, okay, the one place I don't want to end up is up here. Okay? And a lot of times that's where it's going to go. If I'm fighting him, he can't move me, he can't knee tap me, he can't run the pipe, he can't do those type of things. He's going to have to peel the ankle out and put it to his armpit. Okay? We're taught that. Go ahead. Up into your armpit. There you go. Okay? I don't want to be here. Okay? In this area here, it's probably we're minimized with our defense. But we're going to cover some things from here. You know, there and to the outside. There's some defensive things that we can do there. We're not going to give up that position. We're not going to just give him the takedown. Okay, we're going to wrestle from those positions. So, again, this is when he's created the angle. He's created the angle on me. He's building up into me. I can't pass it. I can't get the head stuck. He's just come up. Okay, or maybe he snatched single leg me. He went through my head and no, just snatch single. Don't hit your knees. Just boom. And he's picked it up. Okay, he beat my hands. He beat my head. We'll talk about that later. Go back to that towards the end of our whole series. And again, remember, I'm kind of working backwards to the front in this series. I'm going right to the positions we got to know. Okay, I'm not too worried about that you can't hand block or that you can't head block, okay? Because when we're wrestling good people, listen, that head block and hand block is not going to matter anyway. If they're good, they're getting to our legs, no matter who they are, okay? They're going to be on our legs. And we just need to recognize that people are that good, okay? And now he's on my legs, how good am I in my defense? So, again, he hits a swing single, I can't do anything, okay? And he comes up here. Now, what we want to focus is first we want to feel that defensively we have some balance here. Okay, and we need to be recognizing that we need to be balancing on this. We're low in our chest. The higher I get, the more unstable I am. Okay, I want to be down here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put pressure on that lock. Okay, and the way I'm going to do that is controlling the elbows. I'm going to rotate this elbow, and as I grab deep as I can around this elbow, on the other side, I'm hooking the armpit. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull. I'm going to pull. And as I pull, this arm that I'm wrapping my hand around, on the inside single leg arm right here, I'm wrapping it and I'm rotating it. So I want to rotate this elbow out. I don't want to pull up. I want to rotate it as I'm extending that leg to the mat. Okay? Now, sometimes I can just pop him off real quick. Okay? Others, he starts to get his head in position. He starts to kind of block me out. Okay? And here, and I can't quite get underneath. Now, if I can't pop here, okay, and break that lock, okay, I'm going to rotate my shoulder. I'm going to turn my body, okay, perpendicular to him, okay, and rotate my shoulder right under his chin, okay. And from here, I'm going, same thing. I'm rotating that elbow up, popping, okay. So there's two different things that I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is when I feel him coming up, okay, I'm going to immediately attack the armpit, okay, on the outside, inside elbow on the inside arm. And remember, we're wrapping that hand because we're trying to extend his elbow here rather than pulling it up here, kind of hyperextending his elbow. But I'm going to immediately go to this. I've tried my defense down low. Boom, I feel him coming up. Bang, I'm coming to it. Okay, I'm going to put weight right on that lock as quick as I can, rather than always trying to go to his hands to fight the hands and peel. Every time I see that, I see a lot of the guys that are really good at finishing singles. That's when they run the pipe, boom, set you right down. You know, we need that stability, our hands apart. Okay, so again, we're going to start in this position here. Okay, he's right here. Okay, I've gotten beat, boom. Okay, from here, I'm hyperextending, driving that leg straight. Okay, he's head position. I don't feel like I can break the lock. I can kind of move around here. Yeah, he's right here. I pop under. Okay, all I'm doing now is just driving off my foot, and I'm driving my shoulder. But remember, I'm turning my body. I'm turning my body and dipping that shoulder underneath him, not dropping straight down with my chest squared to him. I'm turning my body, dropping, catching him. Okay, he's here. Come on over here. Half turn. Right here. Boom. Okay, now let's look at this, and I want to make sure you guys recognize we're in positions here to go into immediate scores. Okay, we're focused on our defense, but part of what's created this defense for us in some of these situations is that it's given us a chance to score points. And so, yes, we've been on the defense, but when you score the points, it's on the offense. You're chasing the 2-point takedown. And we call that offense. Okay, butt drag. I butt drag him, I beat him, I score. Well, defense and offense, right? Scoring. Defense, to me, purely defense, is somebody that he shot in, got in deep on the leg. He got here. Come on. He's in here on the leg. He picks it up. I break through here. And I square up with him. Okay, that was defense. I defended the shot. Okay, the defense offense is where we go ahead and score the points off of his offensive attack. So, what do we have here? Okay, we have a couple things. Okay, I always like dipping, but when I dip and I break, there's a couple things here. You've got a sagging headlock. That chin's up above the arm, the shoulder. You got a sagging headlock right here. You just rotate into it. Okay. Now, there's many of you I'm not one to hit a headlock in the past, but there's guys that have grown up with headlocks. That is a perfect time to be hitting a headlock. There's the inside out trip. Okay. Coming here, breaking. Boom, right into it. Okay. Inside out trip. I'm not going to go over the techniques. Just if you know what that is, see it. If you don't know, look what I'm doing with my feet. Again, inside out trip. I drop. I break the same side. I want the same side that I'm turned. Notice that I'm always perpendicular to him when he picks up the leg. I don't stay square with him. I turn my body and fight here. Okay, come on. I'm fighting here. Boom. Drop my head to that side. Collapse. Okay. He's in. Coming under. Right here. Boom. Double leg. Just change levels. Once that foot hits the mat, double legging. Okay. So we've taken a position where we've worked the single leg from where we've squared up. We've worked the single leg from where they've created angles. And we're working the single leg now where they've picked the leg up. And not only now, in all these positions, I want you to know that we've done defense, then offense. We've scored in almost every situation I've showed you. We've beat them and we've scored. Sometimes, and a lot of times in tough competition and tough matches, you're going to be, most of the time, defending, and maybe not having a chance to score. Guy may take a shot, he's in on deep single leg, I break his lock with a butt drag, boom, he's on his hands and he bails out. I don't get it, But I think that if we continue to work towards following up the offensive side of it, being real aggressive with those situations, you're going to find that you're going to be adding points to the board with your defense, followed up with your offensive scoring. So, Other options that I want us to look at when we're in this position is when the leg comes up here, we're going to go back to our wizard, okay? And probably myself did this more than squaring up and going to the elbows. Squaring up and going to the elbows and the armpit, I think really I learned more as a coach. I don't think I ever really saw that type of positioning and skills until after I was finished wrestling. And it became a real skill that was easy for people to develop. That's easy, going to the elbows, turning, just keying in on the turn, on the brake, dropping the shoulder under, popping. You know, it's not real tough skills. And that's why I like that particular series of options that we have when the leg comes up off the mat. The guys that are a little bit more flexible, he comes up, he beats me, you hit the single leg on your knee, he beats me, sucks it up, I can't get, okay? I'm hooking here. I'm driving this arm in deep, okay? And I'm gonna hook on the outside. And as I hook on the outside, right here, I'm hooking and driving, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my foot and I'm gonna throw it out. And sometimes I'll stay on my foot, sometimes I'll throw it out and end up on a knee. Okay, and if I do that, back up. Okay, I'm driving this deep, putting weight. Okay, so just keep in mind that anytime the leg comes up, the key is whatever we're doing, get weight on that lock. Okay, why do we want weight on the lock? Okay, is so he can't change off. If he releases that lock to knee tap, if he releases that lock to flare us across, okay, that everything goes down to the mat, okay? If there's no weight on the lock, bam, they can hit, they can change. So if he releases his lock, it's going down here. If he releases his lock, okay? So I'm stepping out right here, okay? I'm locking inside my thigh, coming outside, okay? I can come inside here and try to kick this leg out. Either way, I think that you need to play with it to feel where you're getting the most pressure, okay? So wherever I'm getting the most pressure is where I want to make sure I'm using. So whether it be inside, okay, or whether it's hooking to the outside, okay? I think I do both, and I'll probably go inside here, right here, okay? Now, what I want to happen is, when I take him to the mat, see where his lock's below the knee? And it's always normally going to be below the knee. I want to make sure that when I take him to the mat, that lock ends up above my knee. I don't want him in that position where he's created the angle on me and he's down below my knee where we covered already, okay? So when I go to extend him and to stretch him out here, okay, what I'm trying to do is extend him, extend his body. Okay, I want to make him long. And then I'm going to drag all that pressure right into the mat, okay, and put him in a position to where everything's heavy. He's like, okay? And we remember that with limp knees, guys that got a little bit of limp knees, this helps you a little bit. This is an advantage for you, okay? Those guys a little bit stiffer, maybe have some knee damage and you can't really turn your knees. You're going to stay focused on breaking those elbows, popping those elbows off, dropping the shoulder. You're going to stay focused on that, okay? So when I hook here, okay, I want you guys, I want you to see and want you to realize how much pressure I am putting on this lock. So as I back off here, I'm taking that step back and putting this hand down, okay, I'm driving him into the mat, okay? And as I drive him into the mat, I'm going all the way to my hip. Okay? Bam, hip. Okay? I'm turning that leg up. Okay? Make a half turn. I'm here. Okay? I'm driving. Keep your lock. Keep your lock. I'm driving here, and I'm turning this hip down. Okay? And I'm sitting, kind of doing a sit out, sitting that leg through. Okay? Now, it doesn't always come through, okay? The one thing I do like about this is this. For you to understand how important this position is, for you to understand how important this defense is, listen, we are going to be in this position if we're wrestling anyone good and trying to beat good guys week in, week out, whether you're in high school, whether you're in Little League, whether you're in college, where. There's no comfort zone for that guy that's on his feet, that's got a lock, to go from this position down to his knees. Okay? And so, for you to understand this, what an advantage this is get into the offensive position and have people do it to you. Okay? And keep your lock. You're going to realize that I'm not going to keep my lock. I'm not going to just fall down to my knees with a lock and that my hands get extended away from my body. You're going to release it and plant. And so when you release this and plants, that's when I'm sitting that leg through. Okay? I'm coming out of it. But I do want you to understand in this position, okay, is I am putting a lot of pressure on my opponent and turning his body, or me turning my body, and I'm forcing everything into that mat. Okay? It comes up. And when do I do this? When is the time that I do this? We go back to the series of a guy hitting a single leg, he turns around, he's coming up, he's coming up, he's coming up, bam. Okay? As he built up, I went right to it. Okay? And, there's some coaches that don't like people giving up that type of positioning. I get it, but know this, that we all need some tricks to be able to overcome a good position guy that's in on a leg and he's beating us, and we don't want it up. We don't want to be up in the air. We all have to have a few tricks, okay? So, again, as he's here, I'm hooking, okay, inside, figure out which side you like, okay? And now it's kind of hard to do slow, but I'm basically throwing my leg back, more than likely ended up on my knee, planting the hand, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm rotating. I'm rotating my hip into him, rotating him into the mat. And as I rotate him into the mat right here, okay, I set to that hip, okay? And I slide the leg out. Be ready to score. I'm going to have an overhook side here, okay? I'm still going to be over this arm. So when I start to build up here, I'm going to look to try to take this hand right to the armpit, butt drag, and forward. So I'm going to look to try to score on the same side that he attacked, okay? Which is rare, most of the time it's pretty rare that we're not covering the head in that situation. But the reason we're not covering the head is because I put so much pressure that hopefully his head's in the mat. So I'm here. And I score. Okay? I really love this defensive position for a lot of reasons. One, if you feel it, you'll understand what I'm saying. That the only thing that I will say about turning our body and fighting this angle, whether he's down below the knee, whether he comes up on the knee, is that when we get really good at it, sometimes we'll abandon our baseline defense. So when I teach this, as you coaches out there that are learning, we must stay with our baseline defense. We have to have that. I've had wrestlers that early in my career, they had really good limp leg defense, and we can call this limp leg defense, whether he's below the knee or whether he's above the knee. And in the long run, they didn't purely develop their defense, and it made a difference in the outcome, overall outcome of their performance. As they hit the top-notch guys, the limp leg defense, for some of them, they didn't excel. It's just nice to have, and kind of keep in mind the series that I've taken you through, okay, is hopefully in this position, I tried to stop him with my baseline defense, okay, and he has had to work into this position, whether me just giving it up. A lot of times we'll see guys that do have this limp leg defense, and a lot of times we'll just see them, and the guy takes a shot, and they'll just take your single leg shot. And whether they get to the angle or not, they'll just give it to them because they'll turn their knee down, right? And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want your student athletes to avoid. I want you to stay focused on that baseline defense. And remember, the reason we've got to this position is because this guy's earned it, not that we've given it to him. And here's how we'll give it to him. He'll shoot, and I'll just turn. I won't even think about fighting the squaring up and fighting the baseline defense from a butt drag position. So, you know, it's always better, and take it from me, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Start with your baseline defense to be determined that I'm going to help my kids develop that baseline defense. And then when I see kids that are abandoned because of their flexibility to that angle, I'm going to reinforce again, baseline defense. I know you're scoring, I know you're getting out of it, but as we go up in competition, we want to beat the best, and a lot of times the best is going to start with baseline defense, and you may end up doing this, but he's had to earn it to that point. And it's a lot harder when he's trying to work up, and I'm still fighting baseline. I'm still trying to stuff, and then I turn, and bam, I go. Okay? And what's happened in that scenario is what? I've always kept pressure on him. He's felt the weight on his head. He's felt the weight on his lock. He's felt the weight. He's coming up, and he's coming up, and he's feeling the weight, right? Rather than me just turning my leg and giving him that position and him not have to work to where he's getting. Okay, so a little bit long-winded, but I just want to reinforce that there's a series. Follow the series of what I'm teaching. And, of course, you can add a lot of different techniques along the way, you know. There's several things that I could have covered that, like I said, that in the last 10 years, some of these student athletes have done a remarkable job of evolving wrestling, you know. And some of it's in the defensive skills of rolls and the scrambles and those type of things. It's been fun to watch. I mean, college wrestling is funner right now to watch than I think ever in the history of it, you know. When people say the good old times, hey, we're living the good old times of the excitement of wrestling. I mean, this is better wrestling across the world. Freestyle is better than it's ever been. I think Greco's better than it's ever been. You know, women's wrestling just keeps climbing. So, again, add your tactics and your skills to what I'm teaching and stay with this baseline stuff as a principle of what you want from your student athletes. And then let them observe, let them reach out. Don't ever say, I'm getting into a speech, but don't ever say, we don't hit headlocks. We don't turn. We don't give up that position. We don't do that. Well, you know what? Some of the greatest wrestlers in the world did some unusual things to become great, you know. And some of them were technically might have been wrong, you know. And that's why I've committed to us over the years of what's this rolls, what's this scrambling stuff that they're doing. Let's learn this and make sure that we have it as something we could use. Go ahead, come back in. So, takes the shot. Okay, I'm squaring. I don't feel it. Right here. And now, I dropped, and now I'm going to turn my hip down as I pull my knee forward right here. Notice I'm pulling it forward, okay? Because the lock, okay, is below the knee right now, right? And so what I'm going to do is when I pull it forward, he's got a choice. Either he's going to go down and see the angle that I've got right here, okay? He's going to go down, and he's either going to go down with his hands locked, okay, or he's going to go down by releasing and planting that out deep. He's not going to go down locked as I suck him down. And as soon as he releases that lock, I'm dropping this inside. The leg he's attacking, I'm dropping my hip to the mat. And scoring. One more time on this view here. Okay. Ready? Boom. See, I planted him. He starts to raise his head up. He's scrambling. I reverse. Take that arm to the inside. Always I like to try to bust him off off his base after I've scored. Ankle, butt, okay. Just a good habit to be able to apply your techniques on top.